Hey, I have Cat. Welcome. Looks like you're numero uno. Ugh. Ah, that is one messed up battery. Where is it? Meh. Survive for now. Hey, Phil. Jim. Jim, is Lewis still running or is he stopped for now? Let's steal his viewers. Hey, Macro. So what we got here is a classic 5S by the looks of it, and it's just needing a screen. It probably could do some other tender loving care. Kind of seems like this one fell off the back of a truck and got run over by a stampede of kangaroos, and then munched up by some wombats or something. I don't know. It's had a rough life by the looks of it. It's been repaired by someone else. Looks like it's exposed to a workshop. We've got a lot of grinding metal there. That sort of black dust that you get when you're grinding the hell out of everything. You got a bit of a kick down on this corner here. Yeah. Typical hard life, thug life. I mean, see what we can do to breathe some warmth back into it. Yeah, idiots had that on the wrong way. Hey, you gotta love people who don't put adhesive back on these things. Hey Jack, Jabara. Jim, you departed the stream as well. Alright, fair enough. Hey Cody. Def Bomb. Not going to be that interesting a stream, I'm afraid, folks. I'm just doing some peaceful Saturday afternoon catch-ups with, well, it just seems like today is the day when everybody's going to bring their iPhones in for screen repairs and things like that. I do have an iPhone 7 that's not showing anything on display. That may end up being a somewhat more complicated situation. Okay, you're in the rubbish. Now we need a black 5S. Let's see, 5S. Please have stock, please have stock, please have stock. Black. Ooh, last one too. Guess someone's gonna have to order some more. I don't tend to keep too many of the 5S type screens anymore. It's not too often you get people coming in to have them fixed up. So you can sort of usually only hold on to one or two of them and you should be fine. Let's make sure there's no junk on the back here. Ah, it broke off. It happens a fair bit. The eyelet for up here for retaining onto the screen gets broken off. Not much you can do about it. Fortunately, it's not super critical, but it is nice to have these things as per original, but I guess you can't have that every time. As these things get older, like us, bits and pieces tend to fall off and break. Spent the day recording video for 3D printer upgrade. New board, seems nobody reviewed it. Just sat down to edit 70 minutes of footage. Oh, I hate doing video editing. That's why I'm real cheapskate and I just do live streams mostly these days. Unless it's going to be a sub 5-minute video that I'm editing, I'm pretty much not interested anymore. At least for now, anyway. It's just so much damned effort. And if you don't have a really good video editing machine, it's no fun at all. Yeah, live brings about a different set of complications, but yeah, you're sort of trading off. And sometimes doing live can be more difficult for some people. Like you get someone like Jason Volmer to try to do a live stream. Good luck with that. He's done one. He's tempted to do more, but he tends to shy away from it. No harm in that, I'm just saying it is a different sort of, it requires a different kind of mental process. How hard is it to tighten the hinges on my MacBook Air? Gary, yours is the 1466, right? Yeah, that's right. If you have to take the clutch cover off, and then you have to tighten the two T8 screws that are behind that clutch cover. So it's not difficult. Probably the hardest thing is getting the clutch cover back on. But yeah, you'll have to take the screen completely off, slide off the clutch cover, and then redo the nuts on there. I can show you after I've done this if you like, make it easier for you. Because if you get it wrong and you break the clutch cover, that's a real pain. It looks ugly and all that sort of stuff. Ah, what am I looking for? I'm looking for my tapes. Where is my tape? Yeah, this big bag of tape that I use for different jobs, and I seem to continuously misplace it. Ooh, next customer's arrived. Ah, there it is. Let's see, I'm fairly sure they're bringing a 6S Plus to me. You enjoy it how you get cluster jobs. Okay, might as well peel off a decent strip of that. Yep. That's probably them saying we're here. Yes. Front door. Doorbell. My wife will collect. Some people seem to be a little bit apprehensive about coming up to the front door on a weekend. Like I just had one customer drive up, sit out the front for a little bit, and then drive off. And they messaged me and said, we're out the front. And I said, no, you just drove off. And so come on back. So we'll try to make the place a little more inviting once we've got the ownership sorted out here. Alright, Gary, well, if you can't find anything, just let me know. I think the key instruction, of course, is that you have to slide off the clutch cover. Once you've got that sorted out, getting it back on is definitely the most difficult aspect. Because everything has to be perfectly aligned, everything sitting behind the right notches before you slide it back. So it's more a case of it's a tedious kind of realignment. So now this time we will get the ground thingamajig back. That's better. That's where it should be, not floating in space. About an hour and a half. Oh, I see that just dropped off.
Yeah, she signed.
Yeah.
I just said, I didn't know if you'd given her a time, so I said you usually say an hour.
Yeah, okay, I just said an hour and a half. It's cool. No, it's fine. Hour is correct. But
I said roughly.
yeah. No, that's good.
Okay,
thanks. Oh, damn. That's a nasty bend on that. Check that out. Let's see if you can actually see that. It's a nice kick. looks like it's pulling down on this corner, which is funny. It's the same with this 5S, so that means this is going to pop up a little bit. And they got a bleed through. Well, they did a good job on this one. Let's get that out. That's good. Put that aside and get on with the other work. And we need to have a camera guide for that 5S. Wow, it's been a while since I've had to use one of those. Yeah, what's the worst that can happen? That's a nice way to bait the universe, isn't it, Greg? Oh, come on. So who's going out buying or resupplying themselves with toilet paper, gloves? What else do we need? Paper wipes and alcohol. Everybody going on the mad rush? No, that's looks a little broken, that one. Yeah, I just ordered myself another 400 of these. Even though these are the same size that I bought originally, they feel smaller. But fortunately it is not so bad that I can't actually work in them. Come on, in you go. It's funny, you forget. Oh, damn, they've lost the rubber boot guide on this for the sensor. That and the 5C is probably one of the hardest parts I have sourcing. Fortunately, it should be okay. Right, we need to get rid of all this metallic dust. 18W. Was that it just fell out? No, I don't think the guide fell out on this one. What do you mean it when it was damaged? Anyway, all replaced. Not a great fan of the top assembly they have up here for the 5C and 5S. It's very, as Dave would say, how do you do? Sort of got to just put it in, hope for the best. The round thing fell out when you opened it up. I think it was that because that was one I actually brought over, kind of like a magic trick, and you thought maybe that was it. Not that it matters, it's already replaced anyway. Alright, let's clean up this unfortunate suffering phone. Lewis philosophy stream. I thought he was talking about the Google advert restriction situation that we have, which is certainly a pain. I'll definitely give it that. It's definitely a pain, and I really do not quite understand what Google's pitching out, other than the fact they're probably coerced by Apple, which seems a little strange being Google, but who knows. Can't tell these days. There's enemies and there's frenemies and there's do fans coming over with your business because we dropped into in the last 30 what? Do fans come with under warranty? The screens are are covered by warranty for defects that aren't physical damage, such as drops, Jeez, I hope they're not asking for a warranty on this. Yeah, let's try and get a photo. I love it when people try to pull a warranty claim after they've handed it to you. That irritates me to no end. It's like, if you're going to do that, ask before you hand it in to me and check these things out. But when you do the whole attempt of bait and switching me sort of thing, so that's not going to go well. It's like, it doesn't matter whether you handed in yet, whether you had it fixed yesterday or a year ago. Screens do not fail based on time per se. You crack it, you crack it. Doesn't matter whether it was 10 seconds ago that I fixed it and you stood on it. You've cracked it. It's not warranty. It's just more I'd probably give them a discount and things like that if they actually were upfront about it and sort of said, look, we kind of broke this. We only just had it fixed back in March, which was 3 months ago now. And you go, alright, look, I can understand, that's a bit unfortunate. And give them perhaps a frequent flyer discount, as it were. But when they just drop it on you after they've handed in and asked for a price and everything like that, and you've said, alright, well, it's this much to fix it, and they go, okay, we'll bring it in. And then after you've got your hands on it, they go, oh, warranty. So, no, sorry, too late. Especially to that. I mean, that's definitely not a warranty scenario. It's a bad customer business relationship type scenario, that. And I mean, I'm willing to help out where I can, so long as the person's, forthright and upfront. But when this sort of thing happens, I always feel like I'm being on the scammed side, so I tend to, as anyone, you put your heckles up and your defences and you shut down any of these requests. Hey, Rob Brown. There's been plenty of times where I've done jobs cost only or something like that just to help someone out, because they've been you just sort of can understand the situation. You may be you may be able to help them. Just trying to be helpful. But when it happens like this, you kind of feel like, no, I feel like you were being deceitful. Yeah, maybe they weren't. Maybe they just realised after they handed it off to me they forgot to ask about it, which I can understand then. Or maybe they mean for future. So I guess I should not pass judgment just yet. Yeah, get these ones done. And then I can... What I'll do is I'll get this one done, I'll work on the bent 6S Plus and go from there. Actually, no. Bent 6S Plus can wait a little bit, so I don't get my jobs mixed up. Farnell insurance. Poor Farnell. Although he's been let off now, hasn't he, for most things? I believe it's some other poor chap that's suffering the odd wrath of the community. Personally, I don't even know what the heck's going on. Something about baboons at the moment. I'm just looking at it and thinking, I don't have time for that. Clearly, it's something entertaining to them, which is all good and fine. Okay, come back to life. Yes, thank you very much. Who is an L? An L is the chap that got run over by a truck that works for Lewis Rossman in New York. And there was a bit of a running joke that whenever he was around, he would kill the CPUs of MacBooks. There was just a bit of a correlation between his presence and MacBooks dying from CPU death. Okay, that's good. That's one done. Let's hope the... do not tell me the flippin'... Yeah, not now. Okay, that's all good and working. Thank goodness for that. Next. Hey, Travis. Okay, this one's messed up. They replied yet instead of going, you bastard, we hate you. No, they've agreed. They saw the bent phone and realised that I was not messing around. I think that's the other thing, is sometimes you have to be rather not abrupt and aggressive or anything, but you just have to simply be staunch in your stance and make it very clear that yes, there is warranty, but it is only covering physical damage. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you don't want that, not physical. Oh man, I'll be ruined then. It's only covering non-physical damage. Nice thing is, actually, they just signed a document too to say that they understood that. Yeah, the usual submission documents. Yeah. Why are there two pieces of... Where did this come from? Was that on the spatula that I just had? You got two pieces of this blue plastic. Okay, I have never worked on this particular phone before. I know that because it does not have my marks. Hey, Doug Maxey. That screw's almost out on its own. I just hope this does not turn into a... This phone is locked when we reconnect it. I hate that. Because customers give me the stink eye over it. It's like, yeah, I was the one that made it so it would do that. Don't blame me, blame Apple. I mean, you can explain it to them, but they still give you the stink eye. Because they're like, damn it, you lost all my data. It's like, don't do that to me. Not all of them, just some. Like, can you fix it? It's like, you can factory format your phone, and then you can restore from your backup. Keywords there being your backup. You're like, but I haven't backed it up. It's like, well, that's going to be fun. Alright, what do we want? 6S black. Fortunately, I do have a lot of those. How's Joe? Okay, looks okay. These are all refurb screens, so that's why they do look a little bit like less than immaculate on first impressions. And I don't know why I just peeled that off and I haven't even had a chance to disassemble this one yet. I think I'm a little bit spun out by the warranty claim thing at the moment. That's what I hate. That's why I find myself perhaps not the most ideal person to run a business, is that I can have excessive emotional responses to these things, which doesn't really let you be the best business decision maker in that case. And I don't. Some people I think are just predisposed to being able to handle that fine. Yeah, just water off a duck's back. Some people learn how to deal with it, or at least pretend how to deal with it. And other people, it constantly badgers them, and they just find different areas in life to do their work. Sometimes you just can't be what you need to be for a particular job. And there's no shame in that. I mean, we're all different. You just struggle as well, David. It seems, I think, if you're... A lot of us, a higher percentage of us, I would say, seem to fall into that category. I suspect because, first and foremost, we enjoy doing this kind of work. But then when we want to actually turn it into a business, it forces us into a scenario that we accept simply because it's a necessity of doing business, but it's not something that we really feel accustomed to. So I suppose you could say we're just pushing ourselves out of our comfort zones, which, is educational most times. Still can be painful. Okay, I've got to get that filter out. Okay, we've been... still do it if needed. I think the one thing that I've been able to lately use to compel me is I sort of think to myself, if you don't, then you are going to have to explain to yourself why it is that you weren't able to get the right medication for, say, one of your fur kids, or you are the one that are responsible for you suffering simply because you couldn't, tell a customer no. And when it comes to thinking about, say, like the fur kids or my wife, then it's easier for me to sort of draw on that than it is for myself. I let myself suffer far too much, but when it comes to other people, people that matter to me, then it's easy for me to tell people to get stuffed. Certainly firing customers is something I do on a regular basis. That's not a problem to me. I don't mind firing customers. It's the instantaneous moment, though, when dealing with the situation that leads you to firing the customer, that's my weak point. But after I've gone through the situation, then firing them's no drama at all to me. I think part of the issue that I have is that because my hearing's substandard, then if it is a verbal scenario, that I find I do not like being in a unfair fight, so to speak. Heck, I don't even like being in a fair fight, because if I'm gonna get into some sort of debate or fight, I want to be sure that I'm going to be winning it. Fair is too much of a risk. I want it to be completely unfair in my favour. I've had to grow a thick skin. Fight it, flight. What? I'm not sure whether you mean to say fight or flight, or... Fight or flight, right, gotcha. But yeah, firing customers is no drama at all to me. And I'll certainly specifically deny services to some people. Often preemptively too. Like if I get a customer in the way, they've worded something to me in their query, and I'm like, it sets off my alarm bells, and then I'll usually go do a background check on them or something like that. Not a police background check, but just a check on what sort of posts they've made and the groups that I may be part of, see what sort of behavior patterns they have, and then based on that I may just simply say to them, look, I'm unable to assist you in this particular event. Thank you for your inquiry. Perhaps reach out to one of the other businesses in town, and I'll leave it at that and get on with other work. It is nice having enough work that you can pick and choose your customers. And since I'm not a retail walk-in store, I certainly have that option. Yeah, if you get a bad vibe from someone, say no, exactly. 'Cause 9 times out of 10, your vibe's probably on the mark. Every now and then I've been wrong, but 90% of the time, if you do go ahead with it, you usually look back and lament over the fact that you weren't quicker off the mark to say no. background stream. I reconcile the books for Bass next week. Oh yeah, I do my own books. It's something that, when it comes to tax and things like that, it's something that if you do a little bit every day, then yes, come the end of the year or the end of the quarter, it should just be a case of 5 minutes of clicking and you're done. But other than putting in transient information that I know I will likely forget, such as, say, whenever I order something and I put that straight into the system. Other than that, I tend to leave everything to the end of the year or the end of the quarter, because although it is, say, half a day of work or a day of work consolidating all the information, all that, it is still technically more efficient than doing a little bit each day. But I suppose you could counter-debate that by saying, well, maybe you're using up portions of the day that would otherwise be unused, or so there's ways of debating it either way. But I used to struggle with myself with the fact that I would leave it to the end of the year or the end of the quarter, but then I realized, well, I'm just doing things my way. I'm doing batch processing rather than process swapping throughout the quarter. As long as you're comfortable with it, then I don't see a problem. Like I said, I do things like purchases straight off the bat. So like if I make a purchase, that goes straight into the system, because that is the sort of thing that you will forget when it comes into the quarter. And you're sitting there and you're looking at your expenses sheet and you're like, damn, I didn't have that many expenses. I'm sure I spent more. And that's a real pain when you're a sole trader, because that means your income tax is also going to be substantially higher, which means you're probably going to pay more tax, which leaves you in a worse off position. So yeah, if nothing else, expenses get the priority. I do batch procrastination. It's not procrastination, it's optimization in a way that other people don't understand. What? Why did you just die? Oh no, don't you start giving me this. What? It can't be a flat battery, that shouldn't have died like that. Oh, it was a flat battery. Interesting, got about 3/4 of the way through the boot and decided to drop dead. Oh well. Okay, let's get to Bendgate. I guess it must have felt like it had enough charge. The battery is weak. Tried to boot. The charge fell away from it. It gave up. If your system works for you, that's all that counts. Yeah, that's a good point, Thunderbird 6. You are correct. Hey, Margarita. Grade all my customers and save it to my phone. The first thing I see on the caller ID is, oh, cool. Yeah, that's actually a good idea. I should try that. I have a Facebook list of people that I say do not service, because sometimes they can catch me out, and you look at the account and you kind of go, why do I know this person? And then you lose the opportunity to be able to decline the services for your own sanity, and then you're trapped again. Try to get my accounts up to date end of the week. Okay, yeah, that'd be nice having a partner that understands money well. My biggest problem is dealing with PayPal income, because it comes in US dollars. And where the trouble is that obviously the currency rate between Australia and US varies all the time. But if depending on how it swings, if I declare my income as Australian dollars at the time of the purchase, but I leave the money in PayPal, but then I later remove the money from PayPal when the exchange rate has shifted, then I kind of may lose out. So I may declare that, say, I earn 10,000, but at the time that I actually finally transfer the money to Australia, it might have only been 9,000. So I'm sort of saying I've earned $1,000 more than what I really have. So I get taxed excess. So that's the complicated side of my business at the moment. How do you deal with bad debts? That basically, it's difficult because I can't really declare it as, I don't think I can declare it as an expense against things, because all I can simply say is that I didn't earn any money. But I don't know if I have the ability to declare further than that. Other than, say, if you use parts and you go, well, I can't reuse those parts and therefore it's a write-off. But even still, that's already in your expenses, so, as a purchase. So I don't know. Okay, this is certainly a screen I have worked. This is definitely one of mine. I do not know how I'm going to get this out. I don't think I can. I can try and put this into the Vice. Subtly disinclined to do so, but I will. Where is my Vice? There it is. Do you ever have customers who don't want to pay for your work? Not very often. Most of the time they drop it on me at the end of the job that they haven't got the money, or they can't pay me until next week and things like that. And the worst is when it's something like a phone, so it's critical for them, they say, and you're going to be in for a fight getting that money back. I had one the other week, and it was a person that I've actually not had trouble with before, but I think with this whole COVID thing, there's a few people being, pushed a bit harder than they want to. Anyhow, I had to chase that one. I do not like chasing people for money. I know you got to do it, but I find it a very poor form to have to do that on their behalf. Particularly if you knew them as an existing good customer, I think that's... And particularly if they just drop it on you. It's different if they approach you and say, look, we're running into a little bit of hiccups here. We could do with it'd be nice if you could help us out and, just fix up this phone so we can carry on the business, get some other things sorted out first. But when they hand you the phone and then they collect it and they say, oh, can you send that invoice through and we'll get that paid as soon as we can? And say, you buggers. So don't do that to suppliers who have been good to you in the past. That's a surefire way to get on their crap list. A lot of them may actually withhold from informing you sometimes simply because they know they're not going to... this is really starting to annoy me, this. You can't really apply pressure directly up here because all that will happen is you'll just crumple this. So this is going to have to be a flop edge. I hate it when they're like this. Oh well. Hey, Ohms. What doesn't help is that being a country town, you sort of get to know most people to some personal kind of level. And so they always have that appeal to your decency or appeal to generosity type effect. And the fact that you know where they work, you know who they are, you know their standing in society, it does slightly coerce you into being a more generous person or a more understanding person, even though it is to ultimately your own detriment. And good luck charging them for the amount of time you had to spend chasing them. That's the painful bit. Don't you take a deposit? It depends on the situation. If it's a one-off type job, like where they have to get a special item brought in or something like that, then yes, prepayment is required. But if it's for standard situations like this, screen replacement, whatever, then no down payments are required. Usually on the basis of the fact that, under normal circumstances, you can just hold onto the phone, and that coerces them to pay. But like I said, it gets tricky when you know them on more than just a strictly never seen you before type level. Okay, 6S Plus white. Success Plus black. We've got something here that's a grade O screen. I don't know what the heck that is actually. Grade O. I think what's happened here is that there was a stock shortage and I had to take what option I could. Some wealthy areas, the worst customers want is the money. Yep, that can happen. That's often how they get wealthy. Particularly with people who are very wealthy, millionaires and the like. That's usually how they got there. But basically scamming their way through to it. And they're obviously very good at it, which is very annoying. Oh, you mongrels. What is it with flippin' goddamn display people? When they leave off small parts. Yep, they're the same too. That's actually a design by choice that they've done this. Scamming little mongrels. What'd they say? 2 cents? A cent? Half? That's annoying. They've left off the rubber boot for the speaker and everything. Anyone in chat within Australia looking for end of financial year tax deduction? Oh, Jim, crap. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jim. I apologize. I was trying to find a scenario where I could bring that up, and I failed. Jim is now going to request a return of all devices that he has generously contributed to me in the past. For those who don't know, Jim is part of the Royal Fire Service, the Rural Fire Service, sorry Jim, which of course get called in and do a lot of very dangerous work every year pretty much in Australia, fighting those bushfires that seem to be getting worse by the year, putting their lives at risk, and unfortunately a few of them do in fact die, which is not good. So most of my contributions go to the local animal shelters, but RFS is also a good place to go. Certainly you're going to get more of your money's worth, as it were, as opposed to some of the other big name charity places that seem to have really stuck their foot in it this year. Brigade is out now assisting the ambulance with someone who's fallen off a cliff. Jeez. We don't get too many cliff falls up here, though we do get a fair number of waterfall or river type rock slippage happening. So you get tourists walking on the rocks, they don't realise just how amazingly slippery they are. The rocks may as well be Teflon rocks. And they slip, break a few things on the way down. And then typically they have a partner with them who also suffers a similar fate as they try to rescue their beloved. The other problem you've got to fight with, sorry Jim, I'm getting off the topic again. The other thing you've got to fight with here when it comes to customers, at least in Queensland, well, the state that I'm working in, is that we cannot actually dispose of devices under normal circumstances. So we can't go after 3 months, go fine, they've forfeited their right to reclaim the device, we get to acquire it and make what we can of it. Nope, can't do that here. Instead, what you have to do is you've got to wait till 6 months, and then you've got to advertise that you're going to have an auction selling off the stuff. And all the meanwhile, you have to keep telling the particular person that, you know, they need to come and get their device. You've got to make sure you've got all your communication logs written up. And yeah, if they still don't come around after 6 months, you go to the auction process. And if after that, if you do manage to get to that point, you advertise, and I think it's about 3 newspapers, which is tricky in some places, that you're going to have the auction. Then you have the auction, and then you're only allowed to keep enough of that money that would reasonably cover your expenses, and the rest has to go back to the original owner, if you can actually get in touch with them. So it's a really bad system. It's heavily biased against businesses, and so you end up with a large amount of devices sitting in your workshop that you cannot legally dispose of. Damn it, sorry, just knocked that, my big kahuna head in the way. So yeah, it's frustrating as anything. I hate doing this. Really? Where's my camera sensor? Okay. Wow, that is a very slow camera. What is going on here? Hello? It's like some bad 1980s video clip. Well, I'll have to sort that out another day, but for now I just have to get this done, so I apologize for exposure to 1980s material. '80s would be 4.3. Oh, good point. Hey, Planov. I often wonder how traumatic it's going to be for people as they get older in this modern era, as it were, where we have such good high definition video that you'll be able to look back at yourself in your pristine state, as it were, forevermore, even when you're rotting away and decrepit and things like that. And you're going to be burdened with that sort of, I don't know, I just can see it causing a lot of mental health issues as people look back with extreme clarity as to what things were in the past. Whereas in the old days, as it were, you look back and you kind of go, oh, I can vaguely make out that I was reasonable looking back then. And I do wonder if there is going to become some point maybe... Damn, I've got a screw missing. Where are you going? Okay, you're there. I got a screw missing for up here. I don't know what's happened to it. I think it got knocked off. Oh, there it is. I do wonder if there's going to be a threshold point where the technology be such that by recording your life, you can perhaps say relive it or something like that. Yeah, very hypothetical. So you're going to have these people who can relive their lives or get regenerated beyond that threshold point, and then everybody before that is just going to wither and die or be stuck in a withered old state with no youthful version. Strange philosophical thoughts. Even at 4K, I'm crap. That's harsh. I don't think that's... You're going to have to do that. I'm sure you're quite fine. Each to their own, everybody with their own individual choices and tastes. Thank goodness for that, otherwise it'd all be vying for the same person in the world. Yeah. It's under the assumption your memory is not completely dysfunctional. Well, yeah, that's the other half fun of it, isn't it? It's like making a bad backup and then restoring from it. And your bad backup overwrote every other backup you had. Yeah, the other thing I was thinking about with this screen is the person, it looks like those cracks have been there a while. And whenever I hand a phone back to people, the first thing I say to them is basically, if there are any issues, notify me immediately. But no one does, not until it's like, I think I need a new screen now. I think all of a sudden I'll declare these issues that have been here for 6 months. That home button's sticky. I can be a very, very generous person when it comes to these repairs if people are just upfront, direct, upfront, straight to the point. Don't get wishy-washy and try to pitch me a story that isn't even going to hold water. Okay, that's good. Excellent. Okay, that's working. Let's see. Some stickers. Where are my stickers? See how that other phone went, that 6S that had the battery fault. Okay, yeah, we're back up again, so that's alright. Okay. I need to just tag these so that the right price is paid on them. Where? Can't exactly write on them though. What stickers do you stick to? I'm just looking for a roll of generic, plain, just plain label things. Because I don't have job stickers on these ones. Just so I can write on them, the cost is whatever or whatever. Okay, this is going to be an iPhone 7 that has no screen. And normally I've got a roll of them around here. So I don't know what's happened to it. well, it's no great surprise. This is my workshop after all, which means everything gets lost one way or another. Blast. Okay, I'll take this phone out. That one at least has a sticker on it. Okay. These can get chummy with each other. So it's 110 and 130, which we know is 240. This one I think I quoted him 140 as well. Geez, okay. Yep. People come into the town late and then they want things done quickly. It's like, it just doesn't play out like that. I'm sorry, folks. Let's see. Ready to go. Ready to go. Ready. I'm just going to voice it. Phones are ready to go. $240 total. Full stop. Oh, nice. Oops. How did it turn 140 into 240? I don't know. 240 into 140. Alright. Give me a moment. I'm just going to take these downstairs so that my wife can deal with them. Dremel market. I like that. Okie dokie, we're back. Sorry about that. You need the latest Samsung. What? Oh no, God no. I'm not. I'm very happy with the Apple phones. I know, shock horror. People are gonna die and whatever. No, I used to be an Android person, big Android fanboy, but I changed over to Apple and I'm happier since. Alright. So yeah, this is responding, but we've got no display, which is no fun at all. What is with the gap? Whoops. Yeah, that's not even valid anymore. Just hang on. I don't think this is going to work. Maybe it will. Is it going to come up? Nope. It's because the process is not running. You scamming little... Seriously? There you go. This is another one that's bent on the bottom. Blimey heck, what is with these people bending? How are they bending their phones this way? Especially an iPhone 7, damn. That requires some serious dedication to get that to happen. Yeah. I'd say this one's probably cactus. It's bent here too. Most likely dead phone. I think a lot of the choices, whether you go Android or Apple, also come down to just what you do with your devices. For me, it's simply a case of I just message, and well, I don't do much else. Don't even make phone calls, really. And the thing that wins me over with the Apple is that it's consistently quick compared to the Androids. Samsung really ticked me off when they just basically kept sending down updates for the latest greatest phone that I had at the time, and no matter what I did or disabled or whatever, that phone would just get slower and slower and slower and slower. And I thought, okay, fine, that's fine, you know, might have been a one-off situation. I can understand that. And so I got myself another nice phone. And then sure enough, 12 months later, it's getting very slow. And at that time, someone handed me an iPhone 6S Plus with, I think it was about $50, and basically just had a little bit of water damage on it. I took it, and it was a bit of a revelation as to just how snappy and quick a phone should be, instead of waiting 6 seconds for the phone numbers to come up when you want to type in a code or anything like that. And that was it. And since I was servicing them, I thought, well, no harm in that. To me, it just seems like Android, or at least a lot of the Android implementations, variations, are bogged down with far too much crap, and they don't really have a very optimal process handling or user interface response rate. And so even if the phone is perhaps technically faster or more powerful or whatever, you as the user do not get that impression because everything takes so damn long to respond. Oh, Luke, what one have you got? Like I said, I'm only choosing based on user experience, my personal experience, and I found it to be disappointing on the Androids. There were some nice programs I liked, but I was happy to forgo them. Okay, we're on black screen. I'm just going to even test to see if this even works. Grade A. ASIO, yes, well, maybe not all, but certainly things like the Samsung, since the S6 they do. So yeah, that's out the door. I wonder if the screen just got popped. We'll test with this one first. If it comes up, we'll try the other one again. Maybe it just got popped off the socket though. It didn't feel like it. Oops. I was trying to squish the wrong size thing in the wrong hole. Okay. Let's have a look at that. Alright, that's working. Okay, so we either have a broken screen somehow, which is really unusual. The other thing I think that ticked me off with the Samsungs in particular was the AMO LED screens. You look at those things funny and they go, I'm dead. Get me a new screen. Sorry, I'm expensive. Whereas with the iPhones, particularly at the time anyway, like we're comparing, say, iPhone 4S, 5s, you could drop those things till they look like they've been run over by a dump truck. Well, in fact, some of them had. And they still kept going. Whereas, yeah, the Samsung AMOLEDs, you get one itsy bitsy little crack on the side and they just, bam, you're dead. But I looked beautiful while I was working. And I mean, that's true. They did look beautiful. But they sure died quick. Why am I disassembling this? Because I'm raging, that's why. So it's nothing to do with the actual brand of Apple, you know, being an Apple or anything like that. It's just a case of, you know, make an Android that's quick and responsive and is supported for 6-7 years of life, and that doesn't require you to basically pay the same price again to get a screen replacement. Shoot. Well, that's one way to kill the backlight filter. Yeah, the screen just looks dead. Let's try that again, just in case I really did just blow the backlight filters. Oh, for flip's sake, come on. That is not sitting correctly. You know when you put in these FPC connectors and you just know that they're floating up high at one end and not in properly at the other end? Alright, so I didn't blow the backlight filters, this is just dead. Yeah, that's pretty much how my impression's been so far of all the Androids I've managed to try. It's just, they start out good and then it's like this cancer that grows within them. And then before you know it, you can't even use the damn things. Like, yeah, you should be able to just, let's see, make sure I don't do this. Like if I go to phone, keypad, yeah, the response should be straight, quick like that, within moments of you doing it. Whereas when I do it on the Androids, it'd be like, wait. Oh, here comes the numbers now. Now you know. And even if it's not technically a long period of time, like maybe it's only 1 second, which isn't a lot of time, but that lack of immediate user response leads you to think that the system is overall very slow. It's same with, say, Windows or laptops or anything. If when you start typing and there's like a 100 millisecond delay or something like that between what you type and what appears on the screen, you get an impression that the machine is slow, even if it actually behind the scenes is very quick. Am I bleeding? No, that's just... Well, it's not just the cheap manufacturers. I mean, that is understandable. But the fact that Samsungs go that way too, and not just the cheap Samsungs, but or even like the big Note 3, Note 4s, things like that. It just seems to be something that's systemic with the manufacturers. And they really, because they produce so many of them, variants, and always trying to keep up to date and things like that, there's this tendency to basically just, discard and drop the existing old stuff. Don't bother support it. Just let it run to crap and push people forward. The S10 Plus is not not a luxury phone. I would have thought that would have been classified as a luxury phone. Anyway, I guess that's subjective, is it? Again, like I said, this is not an pro Apple or anything like that. It's just a case of it gets very frustrating when you buy something that works pretty good and you just find it starts deteriorating in performance no matter what you do, even when you take it back to the factory level that you should be able to. I mean, I get annoyed that you can't roll them back on the Apples too. Certainly the last iOS updates on most iPhones tends to be the one that, whichever one they're saying this is going to be the last one we're doing for this model, that tends to be one that they then bring out the whole, oops, it looks like it's going really slow, folks, better get a new phone. But for the rest of the time, until they get to that point, they do generally seem to run pretty well. Did pick the S10 Plus for battery, nothing else. Don't want to trash battery. Let's see. What's special on the battery on those ones? I could make a poor joke and say, "Oh, they're the non-exploding Samsung ones," but that can happen with any manufacturer anyway. That I don't blame specifically on just Samsung. Any manufacturer that decides to leave out or shave off that 0.2 millimeter of clearance needed around a lithium pack to give it a chance to actually breathe, expand and contract, well, they're just asking for their own dramas there. Anyway, I'm not a brand fanatic. Never really have been. Come on, get that out of there. Come on, out you come. So you get your fanboy wars between Intel and AMD and all that sort of stuff. It's like, I'll just use whatever works and whatever's well priced for the day. 3400 milliamp hour versus 4500 milliamp hour. That is a nice jump. It's a good 25% or 30% jump or so, yeah. Hey Travis, 2 a.m. So the night is young. Okay, that's that. Hey, I just realized this has got a backplate already on it. Alright, they've already done some of the dirty work for me. I don't mind them doing, the backplate install and things like that, as long as they don't botch it up, and then you have to end up spending twice the amount of time fixing up what they botched up before you can do your own normal install. You run it by a Cat S60, but due to economic reasons, unable to do that. I haven't seen the Cat S60. I have heard of the Cat ones. I know locals around here are. Sorry. There used to be a phone here called the Telstra Tough Max, which was the ZTE T84, which hilariously was not actually that tough. It suffered the unfortunate Samsung AMO LED type scenario. Really, I shouldn't even say that. It should just be OLED issues, whereby you crack the screens on those and that's it. They die straight away. So they're tough everywhere except where it really mattered most of the time, and that was the screen. And I'd get quite a number of those that I'd have to do data recovery on simply because once the screen died, it's like, well, that was it. Which was unfortunate because they actually had a really good utility built into them that would allow you to back up and restore straight to a micro SD card. No external software required, nothing fancy. It was just exactly how you would expect or want from a backup utility built into a phone. So back up to SD card, restore from SD card, and everything's all hunky-dory. But they went and put a crappy screen on it. Anyway, so I see a lot of people moving over to the Cat Tough phones instead. Hey Gino, or is it Gyno? Gino? That's a risky game for me to play there. Paul? Klavik? Is it Klavik? Kavalflik? I can never pronounce your last name, I do apologise. Limitation of being brought up in a society that was predominantly monolingual. There's one part I don't like doing on these iPhone 7s and 8s for that matter, is this top sensor reinstallation. It just feels blah. Trying to get the flex to sit down properly before it's just, given the amount of effort they put into packaging of their devices, you'd think Apple would find a nicer way of doing these assemblies. I'm going to have to tell this person to make sure they back the heck up back their phone up straight away. It's got a bend in it, which means it must be backed up. It may actually be worth my while, since I got their passcode, I may consider doing the backup myself, just onto a great big archive drive I've got. Because you can bet your boots, if I don't do that, they'll probably smash it really badly. And then tomorrow come in and say, we've smashed the phone really badly and it's not coming back up awake yet, so is there any chance you can repair it? And then I'll find that the main board is snapped in half. And they go, we've got like 10 bitcoins on there, we need to get the code to it. And we're like, no. I pity the poor people out there who used to have, or have bitcoins, and a lot of bitcoins at that, but don't know their passcode to get access to it. That's got to really be something that's got to burn their soul forevermore. Imagine having a couple of million in Bitcoin, worth in Bitcoins, but not being able to get access to it because you forgot your password. That'd drive you to suicide, maybe. Hey, Nick Basic. What's this? What? ARM is pretty much embedded in mobile device. Let's see what the fail is. What fail are we talking about, Pierre North? Oh, right, I see. If you want low performance device, ARM is great for battery life and such. Yeah, I think it's also important for people to realize that ARM is like a small size engine motor car with a very specific purpose, so to speak. Well, even though it's not, ARM is quite generic. But you can make them efficient at that size, but when you try to haul a bigger load, that apparent efficiency tends to just vaporize very quickly, and you find that the x86s are in fact more efficient for the heavier workloads. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see what Apple does with it. Like I said, I've said it plenty of times before, but I imagine they're just going to work their way up from the bottom. And it's not, I don't see it really changing the board repair market that much, the MacBook repair market that much, because most of the time we don't even work on the CPUs at all. In fact, if it comes a CPU issue, that's usually the end of it. T2's our greater issue, and they'll just be integrated. But sure, we might get a few less jobs, but overall we're still going to get capacitors shorting out, we're still going to get water damage, and it's all going to be repairable still. So I think there's a lot of skies falling, Chicken Little fear-mongering going on. There'll still be plenty of reasons to get stuff repaired, and they'll be repairable. A12Z processor claimed to be better than Intel. Well, the nice thing there is that have they actually stipulated under what conditions? Because yes, there are certain scenarios where those chips can be better. Better is like best. Without context, it's a meaningless thing. Heck, you can turn around and say it's better at consuming power than the other chip. It's meaningless without context. Got to go to dinner. Okay, Defcom, take care. Eh. 3U Tools just updated to 14 beta. Oh, okay. I've still got... I update when I remember to. I am thankful for the fact that 3U Tools exists. It's about the only time that I've ever felt comfortable with doing backups of iPhones. With iTunes, it was always like you hover over the button to do and you wonder whether you're going to delete the phone or whether you're actually going to back up the phone. Alright, so this is working. So given that it's getting late in the day, I'm going to have to finish up. I may have some other work later tonight, like about 5 or 6 hours, but for now, that's the end of the day. So it wasn't really any, well, obviously no MacBook repairs on this, but I appreciate you all dropping in, have a chit chat. Thought I'd catch up. They're on the way. Okay, cool. Yeah, thought I'd catch up and let you know that I'm not dead or anything like that. I haven't been eaten by the kitty cats or anything like that. Or taken over by the wild wombats and kangaroos, looming on the outside of my property fence. Okay, well, before I say anything too much more stupid, I'm going to close up, and I will see you all next time. You all take care.